Like always, today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors: gluten-free diet water, premium junk clothing, Williamson wines, Good Dudes coffee. Gluten-free diet water. Stay hydrated with a refreshing twist. Perfect for those health-conscious listeners. Premium junk clothing for those who love to express their unique style with high-quality fashion pieces. Visit premiumjunkclothing.com and use code EverydayGSD15 at checkout. Williamson Wine, natural artisan wine from Napa and Sonoma. Good Dudes Coffee, veteran-owned by former Navy SEAL Josh Bridges. Every cup is brewed with passion and dedication to quality. Visit their website at gooddudescoffee.com and use discount code EverydayGSD10 for an exclusive offer. And also, don't forget to visit the Everyday GSD store at darinbibeau.com for all your official Everyday GSD merchandise. And now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Everyday GSD podcast. Today's special guest is Karen Hubbard. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for taking your time out of your extremely busy schedule to come on the show. I'm going to do a little bio on you. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of things here. So as we go, if you want to add anything, please do.
Sure.
You are a Team USA bobsled athlete, engineer, and entrepreneur whose life bridges elite performances, innovation, and purpose. And for those of you who were just listening and maybe didn't hear exactly what I just said, Team USA bobsled athlete. I think that's awesome. I'm pretty sure I'd have to go back and check with some of the professional athletes we've had on the show if any of them were on any Olympic team. I think you might be our first Olympic hopeful.
Ooh.
I think.
I believe that is true, yes.
I'd have to double check because we had a couple NBA guys that were awesome guests. They might have been, I should know this, but they might have been Olympic hopefuls to be on the basketball team. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if any of them were on the team.
We've had so many episodes now, it's hard to keep track.
And Justin's like, just read the bio. Okay, you're a Purdue-trained engineer and former McKinsey consultant. You now compete on the U.S. Olympic path while leading high-impact work in the workforce transformation, AI literacy, organization culture. You also founded Kortex, a boutique consulting company transforming culture and talent systems in the age of AI.
Yep.
Wow. And you also have a nonprofit, Karen Sleighs, Inc.
That's me.
That's a 501c3.
501c3. That's the fancy tax write-off.
Perfect. You support your nonprofit supports your youth in STEM and inspiring women in sports. And for the audience who doesn't know what STEM stands for, it's not stem cells. We already talked about that before the show. It stands for
science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
So we have a smart athlete here. Aspiring women in all sports, as well as you're a high school sprint coach here in Indiana, which is awesome. And before launching your own firm, you served as a performance partner with Google for startups and advise global STEM initiatives across Detroit, Indiana, and Dubai.
Yes.
I think it's interesting. Excuse me. I think it's interesting, Detroit, Indiana, and Dubai. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not Detroit, Indiana, and Chicago. We just went right over to Dubai. We'll probably talk a little bit about that. You're an emerging voice for resilience, feminine leadership, and high performance mindset, blending your life experience as a chronic illness warrior, which you were talking about that before the show.
Yeah.
I'll let you get into that after, with your pursuit of becoming an Olympic athlete. Today, you're building a career that integrates sports storytelling and strategic leadership, inspiring people to pursue excellence with courage, discipline, and joy. I mean, truly everything on here is Everyday GSD.
No true words have been said so far. Look at that. Use the mute button.
I just used the mute button.
Oh.
I have a little tickle in my throat today, and it's like I'm wheezing or something. Maybe I need a little more Sam Williamson wine over here.
Is that a cab?
Yeah, of course. He makes the best cab.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, if you weren't in training, I would share some, but I have strict rules not to give you any alcohol.
Yes, they're my rules, so
yes,
I'll just admire from afar.
That's why I said I had strict rules. But you are drinking, what is it called?
Gluten-free diet water.
Correct, which
hilarious.
is also one of our sponsors. I thought I wanted you to say it just because I think it sounds so much better. Okay, so Karen, let's back it up. So you obviously we talked a little bit before the show, and I met you at actually a book signing and a fundraising collaboration event. But I think it's awesome that you're an Olympic hopeful. But I want to back it up. You were a high school athlete. You ran the 100,
100 and 200, and then a couple sprint relays.
Okay, so you're a sprinter.
Yep.
So you're fast.
A little.
Yeah, and then you ended up going to Purdue, and your freshman year, you also were a sprinter.
Yep.
And then you quit.
Yeah.
And by the conversation I've had with people that know you and talking to you for a little bit before the show and at the event that we were at, you don't seem like a quitter. So I'm sure there's a story behind that.
Absolutely. I was honestly forced away from it. And I think in general, it's important for people to know that part of my journey, that like I had to quit, but I was forced to just because of my health. It was just so bad. I couldn't keep up with the demands of engineering. And I picked one of the harder majors, biomedical engineering,
right?
As well as track.
Biomedical engineering?
Yeah, biomedical engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
But no, it was just too demanding of a schedule. And my body literally could not keep up with it. And in general, as an athlete, you need to be able to recover and come back and improve. And I just could not keep up with the demands of it the way that I wanted to, and also the way that would honestly just be a reflection of my character. So I ended up having to walk away from, like, honestly, my first love as track.
Right.
And just have been fighting my way back ever since, but recently made my debut back into the sports world as an athlete. So, but yeah, whichever direction you want to head with that, I just love talking about that story of resilience that I had to write myself, but I never lost sight of that vision. So here I am today.
So you end up leaving the athletic world, and then you focus on your education.
Yep, education and health.
Education and health,
Yeah.
right? And then so you end up leaving Purdue, graduating from Purdue. And at what point are you like, I want to get back into competitive sports?
Yeah.
Or are you at this point still so concerned about your health, you're like, I'm just going to dabble in and try to help other people in sports? Because you're also a coach.
Right.
Because it's not like you're not busy, right? So you have a amazing resume, but you're also doing a lot for younger females. You're also a coach. You're also trying to make the bobsled team. You're a hopeful. You have to go to Lake Placid and Utah to train. And for those of you who don't know where the bobsled training center, it's in Lake Placid. I'm not sure where the one in Utah is.
Park City, Utah.
Park City. I should have guessed Park City. But and you also have to pay your own way, right?
Yes, you are completely self-funded.
Yeah. And that's all athletes before they're actually on the team?
That's both. Both
Okay.
before, during, after. No, you continue to be self-funded. And then if you switch to a role on the team called a pilot, you're then responsible for getting your men or women across the country, across the world. You have to fund them as well.
Wow. So someone, let's just say, like, give me one athlete that we all probably know that's a U.S. athlete.
Sure. That we know on the bobsled team or in general?
Just in general, just for the audience, because I want to make an example.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark. Okay.
Yeah.
So she had to pay her own way.
No.
No.
You brought up the one person.
Let's say like, for example, swimming, Michael Phelps, right? He didn't have to pay his own way, right?
I would imagine not.
But is it because sponsorships paying his way, or is it because when we say you have to pay your own way, you have to go out and raise money, obviously, and and that's why you have the nonprofit.
Yeah.
But you're actually raising money to pay for your own way.
Yeah.
So when you look at some of these athletes, we'll call them well-known, repeat Olympic gold medalists.
Sure.
I've heard many times that they have to pay their own way, but my question is for the audience to understand, even though they're physically not paying for it, they're still out there having to get the sponsorships. So technically, they're still paying their own way.
Technically, yeah. That money goes directly into supporting the endeavor of the actual sport itself.
Right.
Like I'm not at a point where I can like pay myself for this, but it's just funding the journey.
Right.
Yeah.
And then and there's a lot of Olympic sports that is the top tier. When you're done, you're like a gymnast, for example. Before they created Cirque du Soleil, and that was one of the reasons why Cirque du Soleil, the owner in Canada, decided he wanted to have a place for these athletes when they finished their career, these top tier athletes, that he wanted them to still have a place to go, men and women that were just like high performers.
Yeah.
So when we talk about bobsledding, what happens? So you make the team because we're confident you're going to, and the team's going to do really well.
Amen.
And the team's going to really do well. Gold medal. But so then what happens after that? I know we're jumping ahead. But
Yeah. I mean, in general, so there's still seasons throughout the winters, like the winter seasons, in a non-Olympic year as well.
Right.
So you still have, circuits that you can participate in, and then there's development that happens as well. Like you keep getting better. And then something that I'm learning about the sport, because I'm a rookie, I'm brand new to this, is that it's based on points as well. So you can continue to improve, gather points as you're performing, but every 4 years is the Olympics, but there's still seasons in between that I feel like no one really knows about. Like we still compete outside of the Olympics.
Right.
So,
and when you're competing outside Olympics, you're on like a U.S. team.
Right.
And then, and I'm saying bobsledding, but I'm using can be multiple sports.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also competing internationally.
Yep.
Because you're competing against these other countries that have these teams.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going into the actual, we'll call it the one everyone watches is the Olympics, you've often already competed against a lot of these people.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So for you being a sprinter by nature, by talent, by your skills as a young adult and a young student and then a young adult, how did you transition that into bobsledding?
I think what's exciting about the background of track and field is that it directly translates. So honestly, I feel like I'm a bit biased, of course, like being a track athlete, but that power, speed, the mechanics, like it translates right over into it. And what's exciting to me about it is that this is the first time that I've really gotten to use like the power aspect of my body versus in track, I typically only use like the speed, but the power comes in like in the weight room. So I get a chance to actually display some of my talents from the weight room, like in bobsled, because you're moving an object.
Right.
And we always say in bobsled, like mass moves mass. So I'm excited about that because in track, you need to be, I wouldn't say you have to be small, but it's favorable for you to be able to move your body really well, like, over a distance when you're lighter. But with bobsled, you can use your body. So with that mass, moving the mass, like it kind of just goes in your favor.
Right.
So it's exciting because to me, it directly translates and I'm very excited about it. Not only as an athlete, but I get to take what I'm learning like back to my kids that I coach. Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, so this is how you use power. Like this is just other ways for it to translate.
And when you're doing, I think I'm jumping so far ahead and it's because I get excited. So I'm going to back it up and then we're going to go back to training with the other Olympic hopefuls.
Cool.
Okay. So backing it up, you went to Purdue. You're an engineer.
Yeah.
And what did you do when you got out of school that you were using in your field?
When I got out of school, like when I graduated?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so after I graduated, I went straight into business consulting. And with the firm that I was working for, my background in engineering was helpful because we learned process improvement and problem solving.
This is McKinsey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was able to use that part of my engineering degree to go into the business world. And I think in general, like that process improvement part is probably what I use the most because with engineers, like you're learning how to test, you're learning like, failure limits, you're learning, okay, what kind of process works here, what doesn't work here, how do we learn from that? And I feel like in general, a big piece of my degree also was just like innovative thinking and critical thinking and reasoning. And it translated really, really well into what I did at McKinsey. So it's interesting because I feel like I have a track record of like using non-traditional things. That was a good one. I have a track record of using like unintended things and then moving into spaces that like you wouldn't expect. So because most people were not coming from a background of engineering going into consulting. So do
you think your background in engineering is helping you in your athletic endeavors?
Oh, for sure. 100%. 100%. I think in general, there's different theories that we learn in engineering about, okay, how do you get from point A to point B? Like what plans can you use? What process can you use? And I find myself very often like using the scientific method or like the design thinking method that we learned to be able to like break things down and improve my training, improve my recovery, nutrition, all the above.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you decided you wanted to start Kortex.
Yeah.
Kortex.
Mm-hmm. So Kortex like in the brain, but I spelled it with a K because my name starts with a K.
Clever. That's the engineer in her. Justin's like, what's going on here?
He is sick of you.
He was sick of me before we started the show today. Let's talk about that, Kortex.
Yeah.
What made you want to do this? And first of all, what is it?
Yeah.
And then what made you want to do it?
Yeah. So we're a consulting firm, and we specialize in creating curriculum for AI literacy. That's just a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo to say we teach people AI in the age of AI and how it impacts like the workforce that we're currently in. So in general, I feel like I tend to serve like educational institutions a bit more because they're curious about how can we upskill kids before they get into the workforce. And I think in general, we all know that education takes forever to catch up. It has to go through the state, has to go through legislation for us to be able to change things to keep up with the ever-evolving workforce. But we've created a way to create curriculum that allows kids to stay on the bleeding edge of innovation without necessarily waiting for schools to catch up. So it's a really fun way to kind of combine like that design thinking, but also remain on the bleeding edge of what's happening in AI and encourage kids to start thinking about it now. And very often what we do when we teach people these things, they end up changing to STEM careers. Now knowing that they have the self-efficacy to be able to do something like that. So in general, like what led to me starting that was I had left McKinsey and I was just excited about, okay, how do I kind of get into this intersection of what's happening in startups, but what's also, important to, firms as they're thinking about how do we bring innovation to people faster, like before they get into the door. Because very often the same as education, like it takes, firms forever to upskill and train their new managers on different things. So it's a fun way to kind of like have that exposure, but also teach some awesome skills at the same time.
So now these students, because forgive me, because this is new to me.
Yeah.
So these students that you're teaching them in a school atmosphere, or this is like an after-school learning that you're doing?
So far, we've seen it work better in an after-school kind of setting because we tend to have to kind of deal with some of the curriculum requirements that schools need. So it's easiest and fastest to kind of present it in an after-school format.
So if I'm a young 15-year-old female and I'm interested in doing this, how would I even hear about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the Boys and Girls Clubs are doing a really good job at starting to offer programs like this a lot sooner because they can invest in wherever they say.
So is 15 too late?
15 is not too late. Absolutely not.
Okay.
I had some seniors that were part of a program that I did last year in Detroit that ended up changing their majors over being exposed to stuff like this.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And so earlier we mentioned in your bio, Detroit, Indiana, and Dubai. Mm-hmm. So why are they three so far apart?
Yeah, I'd say with the type of work that I do, like with us being a bit more, cutthroat in the sense of using AI now, I think it's just a matter of which ecosystems are ready to plug that in right now. Because I think a lot of people are excited about AI, but there's still a lot of, honestly, just like, fear and hysteria around like, okay, well, how do we teach it? What if it changes? Like, okay, well, it's going to change, but you should definitely be teaching it now.
Right.
So just the commonality between those three ecosystems is that they were all ready to implement something right now.
So Detroit and Indiana, when you say Indiana, all of Indiana or Indianapolis or?
I'd say like specific school systems. So like Hamilton County schools.
Oh, Hamilton County. Okay. Mm-hmm. So these ecosystems were ready to implement this.
Yeah.
So you guys jump on board.
Yep.
And someone from Dubai says, oh my God, there's this amazing company.
Yeah.
Or this awesome female that's breaking barriers. We're going to reach out to her. How do they find you?
Yeah. So
or do you find them?
I feel like right now it's a mix of both. I'd say it's more of an 80-20 split to where like the things that I have out online, like people are excited about that. So they reach out to start a conversation about how did you bring this to light so fast? And that's the thing that's like the secret sauce about Kortex. Like we just don't mess around with bringing it to light very quickly. Like I think in general, like education moves so slow that like we just take that startup mentality into education. So we move fast and break things. But with the Dubai thing, that actually came by way of the Detroit project that we did. So we ended up creating a partnership between a workforce development hub in Dubai to where we were able to get the Detroit kids to participate in an international competition happening in Dubai.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was so awesome.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
And so because AI is moving at like light speeds, right? And as you mentioned, the education system, in our opinion, is not at light speed.
Right.
That's a fair statement I can make, right?
Without for sure.
Not being mean, I'm just saying.
It's just a fact, yeah.
Yeah, a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact. Yeah. So how do we get these school systems to jump on board?
Yeah.
Or how do we get the school systems to basically have the children, these young adults, understand this is going to be the future?
Yeah. Yeah. I see the how happening in two ways, because corporations are excited about creating internships, but they're not excited about the outdated model of internships. Like they don't really see the ROI in that. So I think that that's one side of the conversation.
And when you say the outdated version, explain that.
Sure. So I guess like the copy and paste model of internships, like
Right.
where you hire on some students, you bring in some high schoolers to, come and follow around somebody for a day, like kind of like shadowship opportunities.
Right.
There's not a lot of high or ROI to that unless you have I wouldn't say that the students aren't bright, but unless the students like getting innovative about like, oh, I followed this person around all day and I saw that I could help them here. But you need very structured opportunities for students to see themselves in that role. And right now that's just not, the typical model, because corporations, from what I've heard from some of my clients, they get really nervous about, well, high school students, I feel like they don't know anything. So we're bringing them in our building, we kind of got to babysit them. Like it feels like
Almost a liability, right?
Yes. Yes. So they feel like it's more of a liability than it is like an exposure or, recruitment tactic.
Right.
So I'd say like how we get this done faster is if we want to see it in schools. I think it's a different conversation if you consider after school versus in school. But for in school right now, a lot of the pushback is around teachers don't have time in the day to add new curriculum, which is a fact.
That's a fact.
That's very true. Like right now, especially like with Indiana schools, like they're mandated to like, cover a certain amount of curriculum in a day to get to a certain point or a certain point of the book that they're teaching out of by the end of the year. Where the heck am I going to add, 5 more hours of curriculum in the week?
Right.
And that's a very difficult task. So I think in general for me, I think there are other people that are better at working on like the in-school part and being more surgical about, where to fit in the day. But I just get most excited about the after school thing. Like people, like kids get excited about, I get to go work on this really cool thing after school.
So let's say school gets out in Westfield, 3:30?
They get out around it's like 2:47, I want to say.
Okay, about approximately 2:47. Then they're going to be in my class at 2:49. If they do get a 2-minute break, Justin. So they get out of school shortly before 3, and then they go over to your after school program. And this is all virtual, or is this in person?
This is in person.
Okay.
So the activation that we did in Detroit, the students were to arrive around like 4. So the Boys and Girls Club in Detroit, they already had like a really good system for this. So again, they were just ripe and just ready. They were in an ecosystem that was ready for this. So they had already fed the kids. The kids are, enthused about STEM. And then from 4 to 7 is when we did the programming. So in this case, it worked best in that after school format because the kids already had transportation lined up.
Right.
Parents were excited about them learning different things.
And these kids are starting school somewhere between 7 and 9 in the morning. Depends on where they're at.
Yeah.
And they're going to school till 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go into the after school program. And that's going to be the intensive learning, correct?
Yep.
And that's going to be from, 4 to 7-ish. So they're spending a lot of time learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great.
It's incredible. And the way that we set it up over there is like, it's like a part-time job for the students. So it still kind of fits that internship model that corporations get excited about talking about and to put in their annual reporting, but it's done by somebody else. So we're like, they're not doing the quote unquote babysitting, and it's not babysitting, but it feels
I know what
like
you mean.
that.
I know what you mean.
It feels like that to them. Yeah.
Well, and it's also if we go back, 30 years ago when you were talking about internships, typically an intern would go and, work at an office building or, whatever this corporation was.
Yeah.
And like you said, they'd follow the person around. They'd give them kind of the tasks that they don't really want to do. They're not really, they're learning stuff, but they're not really learning.
Yeah.
Justin, you were an intern, weren't you, for, yeah, because we talked about that on a show. And did you learn a lot? So he'd be perfect for your program. Because he's taking the initiative. Like for me, if I was an intern and they were just having me do these random things,
right?
I'm just waiting. Like, how much time do I got left here?
Yeah,
I'm just filling the block because I'm supposed to do this, right?
Yeah, my experience was nothing like that. Mine was very hands-on. It was very, sink or swim kind of internship, which I liked a lot.
Yeah.
And is your button? You have yours is the opposite way. Oh, that's clever. I'm learning all about you today.
There's that audio degree paying off.
Yeah,
I
love that
because of that internship.
yeah. In the theme of the podcast of just getting shit done daily, I did have a unfavorable experience at one of my undergraduate internships as an engineer, and I was like, oh crap, this is terrible. What am I going to do? I actually ended up going to the hospital across the street and getting an internship there. So I had 2 internships at the same time where, one was for engineering at a healthcare firm. And I wasn't really learning much there. And again, like my tasks were kind of just like not really designed very well for the first half of my internship. So I was like, okay, that's all right.
Is that because they're not putting the program as a priority and they're just kind of checking a box?
I think it was I want to say for them, it was well intended. And I think they did the best they could. But for someone that had an appetite to grow and walk away with a tangible experience, it was not enough for me. So instead I did end up, escalating that and then getting switched to a different internship at a different building. But until that got like finalized, I went across the street to the research hospital and got an internship there where I shadowed an orthopedic trauma surgeon for, I think it was like 3 weeks. It was like a 3-week internship. That was cool.
And so you're doing that while you're doing the other internship too? Yeah. And did they know?
No. Well, they might know now if they see this episode, but yeah.
when they watch the show, they're going to be like, I knew it. Overachiever.
Whoops.
So what's your favorite thing about your program that you've created? What gives you the joy about it?
Oh gosh. So I said a word earlier, self-efficacy, and essentially in a shorter way, it's self-confidence. And I think in general, with a lot of STEM opportunities, there are a lot of kids that write themselves off because they're not confident in their math skills. They're not confident in their investigative skills. And I think that everyone has a flavor of their own problem solving skills. You just have to figure out a way to bring it out of them. And I think my favorite thing about this program that I built is that it allows kids to show up in their own language of self-confidence, to still get the job done and contribute to the team in a meaningful way. I'll give you one example. I had one blessing of a student who had never coded before. And she never coded. Okay, yes. Yeah. So with this being an AI literacy program, she never coded before. And I was like, that's fine. We can have all levels, whether you're a novice or an expert. Cause I do have, just the kids who just have been coding all day and they do it, X projects at home. But then I have those students who are very intelligent, but in different ways. She was an artist. And so upon, interviewing this student to come into the program, we had kind of asked them like, oh, do you have any supporting documents or some coding projects you've done before that can show us like, your aptitude to contribute to this team? She submitted hand-drawn photos of race cars and they were drawn so beautifully. And I was like, okay, if you can communicate to me, like you can, write something clearly and you can draw this way, you can draw the free body diagrams for the car. If you can demonstrate this skill in this way, you can use it here on this team. And I think that in traditional education, you can miss out on the zone of geniuses of a lot of students if you don't give them kind of like that free response time to say what you got. Yeah. It doesn't have to show up in a very technical way. And I think in general, that's what I love about the program the most. Because for me, I'll tell you what, Darin, those math skills were not going to get me through. Those math skills were not going to get me through. And I'm thankful for the teachers that I had that would slow down and work through it with me to the point to where I could, pass. But right. I think that's my favorite part. Like it allows people's zone of genius to show up and then we can move it into a frame where it's helpful in a technical setting.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, it totally makes sense. And it's, it's kind of like in business, right? Finding the right person in the right seat.
Yeah.
Making sure the right person's in the right seat.
Right.
And then it's also, if you hire someone in your company mm-hmm. and they're doing a pretty good job, but just not a great job.
Right.
And then, you're sitting around the water cooler or you're hearing someone talk and you find out that really they have this other skill.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I hired you for this. And they're like, well, I needed a job and that was the opening.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do have engineering degree or I have an accounting degree. I'm like, oh, you have an accounting degree. You could work in the accounting department. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. I'm confused.
Right.
Instead of doing what you're doing here and you're actually not doing that so great. You're not bad. You're not fireable, but you're not excelling in it. And then all of a sudden you put that person in that seat
and they excel.
And they excel. And you're like,
shine. Yeah.
Finding the right person for the right seat.
Yeah.
So I feel like from what I'm listening to is that's kind of what you're doing with these students. Mm-hmm. You're allowing them to achieve something that potentially the traditional school system wasn't bringing out of them. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
That's correct. I have a second thing that's kind of like honorable mention. And I'd sum it up into like my second favorite thing about the programs that I build is like we're essentially teaching people how to retool adversity. And I think that in general, like when you create an environment where there's something to be won, whether it's like, prize money, glorification or certificate, it creates a healthy amount of stress, and it teaches kids how to operate in stressful environments.
Right.
And I think in general, these days, like in any generation, you should have a healthy relationship with stress. If you want to win, you need to learn how to be stressed out.
Fact.
You need to learn how to be stressed out. And I think in general, there are a lot of educational opportunities that are available that are just like, what's 1 + 1? Great job. You participated. Yeah. No, like you need to teach people how to win.
Yeah.
And I think in general, that's my second favorite thing. Like it's a mix of, healthy adversity, giving them something to be won and to be achieved, and like creating checkpoints along the way that will demonstrate, yes, you're learning, but you're also learning how to win.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like.
That's so true. I had a friend say this to me, and I hope I say this right, because sometimes I misquote some people, but he said it's important to teach people how to win.
Yeah.
But it's very important to have them understand it's okay to lose.
Yes.
But just don't make it a habit.
Yes.
And when he said that, because the punchline is just don't make it a habit.
Right.
It's okay to lose because that's how you're going to learn and become more successful, but don't make it a habit.
Right.
And we always say on the show, make excuses to win.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Love
so
that.
Just
Yeah.
stop making excuses. And if you're going to make excuses to win.
Exactly.
But it goes back to your mindset. And I was just looking at this when it says you're a voice for resilience, feminine leadership, high performance mindset. Even just in our conversation for this short time, you can tell that your mindset is about winning and it's about success. And winning and success are different in all different walks of life, right? Someone saying success could be, having 2 children and, a white picket fence. And another person's success could be, I want to be in this position in the company, or I want to accomplish this. I want this much money, or I want this much freedom. Success is measured in many different ways. But at the end of the day, it's all about your mindset. And the only way you're going to be successful in anything that you're trying to do is, as we push all the time, is the everyday GSD mindset. You have to get up and do what you're supposed to do. You have to put in the work.
Yeah.
The Uber driver in Colorado, what did he say?
Tie your shoes and run.
Tie your shoes and run.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
We don't know his name. We've tried to track him down. We have a lot of good quotes that we've gotten from multiple people when we've done these shows, and sometimes we'll meet someone random, and he was an Uber driver, and people have heard this that have watched the show before, but I want to share it with you. He was a little, he wasn't confrontational with us, but he wasn't friendly, right?
We had just wrapped a show, and we were talking about it, and he was a little like, what are these guys talking about, blah, blah. Then once he tuned into what we were saying, he gave some pretty good advice.
Yeah, because at first he was like paying attention, but he was kind of like just driving and not paying attention, but he was listening the whole time, because we were actually talking about a former Navy SEAL that we just had on the show, and we're just talking and talking until finally I said something to him, and he's like, yeah, tie your shoes and run.
Oh, I love it.
And I was like, that's so good.
I love that.
And then he went on to this whole tangent of, people just, they want everything handed to them. They don't want to put in the work. And it was almost like we were just at this free conference and he was the keynote speaker the last 3 minutes of the show. And he just walked out and he was like, oh, by the way, I'm going to say a couple things. It's going to be a mic drop. And then we got out of the car and I was like,
Get his name.
yeah, it's like, and I'm looking, and especially then they were, as soon as your Uber ride's done, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I get that for safety reasons, but so anyway, we give this guy a shout out. So, and he downloaded the show. He's probably watched the show. And he's like, yeah, it's me.
Maybe he'll show up in the comments.
Yeah, you never know. So you're building a career right now in AI for children, and also adults.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So it's definitely a new market for me. So I'm kind of exploring some opportunities, like what would be kind of in my zone of genius to easily activate. But I think in general, something that one of my mentors is bringing up is veteran education. So people that are interested in continuing their learning, but don't know where to start, or they want to get a quick certificate before re-entering the workforce. So that's an area that I'm exploring, and I'm looking for opportunities, to be frank. So if you know of any that people that are looking for AI literacy certificates, I've talked to a couple of colleges that are interested in something like this too, to where it's like, okay, we don't have an entire school dedicated to this, but what are some certificates we can offer for continued education? So that's where I'm at with that. So new for me.
Now, would that be something that you could connect with Veterans of Foreign War or American Legion to find out that people that are members there, that they want to further their education, but they just don't know they don't know how to do it? Would that be an outlet or no?
I would say yes. So the moment you said that, I thought about like, a basic fundamentals certificate, to where it's like, okay, the basics of what's machine learning, the basics of prompt engineering.
Right.
So.
And is that something that would be you're offering this? They pay for this?
I think right now, what sounds like an easy entry point for Kortex is probably being housed on a platform that like an educational institution already has. So for example, like I'll just make one up, like Anderson University, for example.
Right.
If they offered it online, like on top of their platform, so maybe doing like some white labeling, but that's in the works.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And do you have partners in this, or is it just you?
Right now, it's myself and 2 other people that are part-time.
Okay. And so you created, you're the founder.
Yes, that's me.
Nice. I love it. And so when you created this, because you saw a void with and I don't want to I feel like I'm slamming the education system. I don't want to sound like I am, but you found a void sort of in the education system where the children or young adults weren't getting the time to learn this.
Correct. I'd say the time. And then I think in general, I have a very interdisciplinary approach, meaning that like, yes, like I'm teaching you how to code, but for example, the Detroit activation we did, it was a 16-week long program. And each week they're learning new curriculum. For the first 4 weeks, they did not touch a computer. I had them shut their computers and talk to each other.
Yeah.
And I think in general...
Genius, right?
Right. Learn how to communicate.
Yeah. Learn how to talk to the person next to you.
Learn how to talk to the person next to you. Yeah. So I'd say that in general, education does need help from entrepreneurial people that are interested in bringing not only just like, the skills that are going to help you be employable, but also reinforcing, okay, like you can still learn the traditional way in some cases, some way, shape, or form, but you also need to remind them of the world that they're living in is rapidly changing. And I think just with the way that education is built, it's difficult for, bleeding edge things to make its way into the classroom or even to after school opportunities too.
And I'm going to say this as a compliment, and someone listening, my mom watches the show all the time, and she's going to probably call me after she watches this and say, that could have been insulting. But I'm going to say this as a compliment.
Okay.
But in the education world, you're very young, right?
Yes.
But you're also bringing young ideas and young technology, which is modern, fast-moving, cutting edge.
Right.
Right? As opposed to some of these educators that have been doing this for a long time that don't want to bring this in because they're like, I got 4 years to retire.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
Exactly.
I don't want to learn this.
Yeah.
And so then the people that are being sort of penalized for that are the students, right? So what you're doing is you're bringing in an after school program or these programs that these individuals that are wanting to do it are able to excel and jump forward and be one step ahead of everyone else in life. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I think something that...
I think I nailed it, Justin.
I think you did a great job. I'll give you a gold sticker if I had one. Gold medal for that.
Yeah. No, you're going to get the gold medal.
True.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing that one. For education, I wouldn't say it's unique in what I'm about to explain, but I think what's special about the education industry is like, yes, you're selling to the schools, but ultimately this is something that's either going to be implemented by the teachers or, it's an initiative that's led by the principals. So in general, what's very special about education is like, at the end of the day, if it doesn't make sense to the teachers, it's not happening.
Right.
It's not happening.
There's no buy-in.
Yeah, there's no buy-in. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think in general, I do think there are some talented startups out there that have mastered, that approach. But my favorite place is that after school program.
Yeah.
Because they have their own initiatives that they want to see happen, and they're willing to put, their money where their mouth is, like essentially just invest in it like now.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, ultimately, like if it doesn't make sense to the teachers, you're not going to get that pass. Yeah.
With no buy-in, you're not getting it.
No.
I mean, that's where unfortunately where the train stops right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
You just mentioned that you're not going to share the gold medal, so that we're going to segue right into the gold medal. Okay. So you're doing all of this awesome stuff, and you're helping individuals become smarter in life. You're extremely intelligent. You're also an athlete. And you, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, high school high-performing athlete, freshman year in college. Then you got back into competitive sports again.
Yeah.
And you're coaching students in Westfield, in Indiana. but you're also an Olympic hopeful.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. That's just super exciting.
Yeah. Where do we start?
So what made you pick bobsledding? Did someone call you up and said, you know what, you're the fifth person we need on the bobsled team because you're fast and you're, dynamic and you've got all this powerful energy.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Yeah. So
You're like, nothing like that, actually.
It's a lot less exciting, but still cool nonetheless. So I've always been familiar with bobsled. So people who've been on Instagram for a while will respect this. So when I was in high school, I was a junior Olympic athlete. Okay. And when you're going to
you
those
forgot
track
to tell us that. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Throwing that out there. Junior Olympic athlete. Yeah, just giving that a shot.
The sad part. Yeah. I was a junior Olympic athlete, and I had essentially just like a really broad network of just like people that you meet like when you're at these track meets.
Yeah, for sure.
So I had stayed in contact via Instagram with one athlete for years, and she actually ended up going into bobsled. I want to say right after college. So she got in pretty early. So I've been following her journey for years. So that was kind of like my first clue into like, oh, I know somebody in that, but I hadn't considered it for myself at that point. Until last November, I was actually sharing my 5-year goals with a colleague of mine at a conference. And I was like, you know what? I don't know how, but like, I'm going to go to the Olympics. I don't know how, but like, I'm asking God for a way to get there, whether it's track, whether it's another sport. Like I want to find a way. You just wanted
to be at the Olympics.
Yeah. I wanted to find a way to bring that greatness out of me because I know it's in there.
Because we are talking summer and winter.
Yeah.
Different Olympics.
Yeah. Either.
Yeah.
Either.
You didn't care. You're like,
I don't care. No.
I want to go to the rings.
Yeah. I want to go to the rings. Like I know that fortitude is in me. And like, I want to just put it to the test. Like, I just don't know what avenue to pick. And my colleague at the time was like, hey, I just came from a bobsled and skeleton combine. I'm like,
oh, skeleton. That's crazy too.
Right. Oh, don't get me started. I would never do that. If you ask me, I'm going to say it clearly. If you ask me if I'm doing skeleton, the answer is no. No.
Do you know what that is?
I do, yeah, and I would never do that either.
Yeah.
No.
And I skydive and base jump and all that shit.
And I don't want to interrupt you because I'm going to have you continue because you're on a roll. But one of my buddies I went to high school with, there's a family, there's 3 of them. Casey Spiegel was his name, or is his name. He's still alive. And he went to Northwood Prep in Lake Placid. And that was one of his sports. And I didn't know. I kind of knew about it, but I didn't know about it. I played hockey.
Yeah.
And then he was explaining it to me, and I'm like, oh, hell no.
No.
And I'm jumping off bridges when I'm young. I'm doing dumb shit, but I'm not doing that. No. Especially when you when you get up there, especially in Lake Placid, you get up on the bobsled and you look down and you see how it's not like this nice, cute little. Oh, this is scary shit.
I'm not. No.
Okay, continue. So you're not going to do that.
I'm not doing skeleton.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
But I was like, a bobsled, interesting. Okay. And so he had showed me some like the film, like from the combine, like I looked it up. I was like, okay, this looks doable. So I took a look at, some of the like athletic measurements that they take to see like if you're good or not. I was like, I can jump. I can also run in straight lines. Let me just give it a try. So that was November of 2024 at the time. And so.
Oh, so that's recent.
That's recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
That was recent. So that was November 2024. And I truthfully like kind of put in the back of my mind because at the time I was actually considering moving to Dubai to continue that work that we've been discussing.
Right.
So at the time I was like, oh, like maybe like we'll just see. And I had been doing a couple of competitive track meets like on the master's level. So I was excited to see like, some potential of speed come out. So I just kind of put track and bobsled in the back of my head. Like I'll just stay fit, get healthy. I was still kind of facing some health concerns at the time. So I was like, I'll just focus on getting healthy. So January 2025 comes around and I'm starting to think a bit more about it. I'm not going to move to Dubai anymore. So I was like, let me just see what I can do. Again, kind of put it off until February 2024. This is when I'm like, okay, let me see like when it is. Like, is there one even happening near me? Is this worth, investing the time, energy, money, et cetera?
Yeah.
And I saw that there was going to be one in Chicago. So I was like, oh, okay, well, if that's pretty close, like it's a 2-hour drive. Like, let me consider this. March rolls around. I start working out again. And then I officially sign up for the combine that's happening in Chicago. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm making this a try.
And this combine is for
bobsled and skeleton.
Just bobsled and skeleton.
Yes.
And you already know you do not want to do skeleton.
Correct.
So you're already going in. going, I only want half of this.
I only want half of this. So let's see if I'm favorable for this.
Please let me, because don't pick me for the other.
No, I'm just not interested. The answer is no. The answer is no, and no means no.
And so no means no. So you roll up to Chicago and you go to the combine, and then what happens?
Roll to Chicago, go to the combine. It's exciting the moment that I get there because it had been a while since I'd been around like-minded people.
Yeah, and tons of athletes.
High performing athletes. Yeah, and to add to that, these are people that competed all 4 years in college. They've got some titles of some sort.
Yeah.
They're holding records.
High performing athletes.
Yeah, high performing athletes,
Yeah.
and some of them are fresh out of college. And I'm over here like, I'm really cute in this red set. Where do we start?
Yeah.
So I'm just excited, just grateful to be there, excited to be healthy because it had been a minute since my body would actually respond to what I told it to do. So I was just happy to be there, Darin,
right.
frankly. So we do all the tests. And in the sense of where I was ranking, I did a little bit of research coming into it. So I was kind of unsure where my results would fall. But following the combine, I stayed behind to ask some questions. I'm asking for areas for improvement. And the coach notices you're asking questions no one else really stayed behind to ask specific questions about what this journey is.
Right.
And my questions were actually more relevant to the mindset portion of this. I was like, what does it take to be an Olympian?
Right.
What's an unexpected cost that you didn't think you'd have to give? And that was probably one of my favorite questions that I asked. And he had said to me, this was Garrett Hines. Who's
Commitment.
Commitment. He was like, you will give more than you expected, and it's going to take more than you anticipated to give.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, bring it on.
Yeah.
So at that point, I really didn't know how I did. I knew that in the sense of the other combines that were happening in the country, they had to get through the rest of those in order to, select who they were going to bring out. So I, waited. And then the following Tuesday, so the combine had happened on a Saturday in May. The following Tuesday, I get communication from, an official asking what's your height and weight? And I'm like, anything you need it to be?
Yeah. What do you want me to be?
What do you need me to be? I was like, I can lose a few inches. Whatever you need. Yeah. So I responded.
Am I too tall?
Yeah. What do you need?
I can hunch.
What do you need? Whatever you need, I will be that. But no, I got my information in, and then I ended up getting an invitation to the rookie camp. So that's kind of what started the ball rolling on all of that. So
yeah, for sure. Dive into it.
Awesome. Okay. So I got the invitation to rookie camp.
Right.
I was about it ended up being a total of 5 women that were invited out.
One of 5.
Oh,
wow. Okay. I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of people.
Well, there were a lot of men. There were a lot of men that were invited. And then I was one of 5 women.
So you've already made it this far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay. I'm tracking now.
Sweet. Yeah. So the combines, they were across the nation. They finished all those first, and then they ranked everybody based on potential, and how you performed. And so we were invited out to the rookie camp where we learned the basics of the sport. And it's funny because I was a huge fan, but also not a huge fan of how they introduced us to the sport, which is just go. They put us behind a practice sled, put on a helmet, gave us some stuff, and we're like, okay, go, push it.
Do they do that to just see what you already naturally know?
Yes, because in general, what I'm understanding about this sport is that it's very mechanics heavy, but you have to get in a certain amount of reps before you can even start to judge if you are doing it correctly versus incorrectly.
Right.
So now that I understand that approach, I respect that it's more of a volume training thing, get as many reps as possible, and then we'll start to mess around with your form, how you're falling,
and the technique, and then they start narrowing down so your times get faster and faster and faster because they're teaching. You're bringing your sports skill already.
Yes. Yep.
And they're like, okay, you're going to fit this mold. Mm-hmm. And then now we're going to make sure that you're going to fit with this group. And then from there, we're going to just hone everyone in. We're going to keep getting better and better and better and better.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm following. Okay. So you're at rookie camp and you finish rookie camp.
Yep. Finished rookie camp.
And so
we ended with a push competition where they rank us based on how we did. I came out number 1. That was really cool. And then at the same time, I had hit a
Just
standard.
Everyday GSD.
Do you have that tattooed anywhere?
We'll talk about that after. But there's several people that have tattoos of it.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. I will stick with a t-shirt and a sticker.
Yeah.
But so following rookie camp, right?
Yes.
So following rookie camp, they had told us, okay, based on your performance, we will invite you back out to participate in a myriad of one of 3 things. So depending on how you did, we'll either invite you to participate in development camp and performance camp, or development camp performance camp, and push championships.
Okay.
So push championships, which is the very last one I mentioned, that's the Olympic team trials,
right?
Where they, you perform against like your teammates as well as people that have been on the team in the past. So that's what it's supposed to end with. So you can get an invitation to a combination of 2 or all 3. I got an automatic invite to all 3, which was awesome based on how I did at rookie camp.
So if you got an invitation to 1, you're only now have that 1 opportunity, or,
yes,
or because you got an you're now having technically 3 opportunities.
Correct.
Okay, I just making sure I'm mathing that.
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So if you only got the first invitation, you have a 33% chance over someone who has all 3 of them.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was awesome because development camp is where like, okay, now we're working on technique. So we saw all your reps from rookie camp, or even some people had either been like involved in previous years and they've been invited back to development camp.
Right. Okay.
Or there's some freak athletes that they're like, we want you to come try this, and got an invite to development camp as well. So that was, just kind of like the mechanics camp. And then the performance camp is when you're integrated with the existing team. So, it's kind of like you're around all of them at first, but then you're really integrated with them, like to where like you're joining practice sessions with them.
Now, are they mad because like their buddy was with them earlier? Now you just are taking their place, kind of?
Well,
or they want to, they're true athletes. They're like, we want the best people in the best seat.
I'd say that I saw
what I mean?
More so of the latter, to where it's like, we want athletes in this team. And then especially with women, there's so few of us, to where I love the mindset that a majority of them had, is like, I'm just happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here. I'm excited that like you found out about this sport, and like you're using your skills to try to improve like in this way.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice to hear.
It was really exciting because like, I think in general, and then here's the thing about me, like, there could be negative attitudes, but like, I don't see them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
I don't see
I'm
them.
bringing positive energy, man.
I'm just so happy to be here.
Bringing positive energy.
I'm just happy to be here.
I'm wearing the outfit. Let's go.
Exactly. The red. Okay.
Yeah,
the red fit. And that was something I continued to stick along with. Like I wore red on like our competition days, or I wore red like when I wanted to like, feel fiery and like, bust through the sled or something like that. But
do you like the people you're training with?
I do.
Nice.
I do.
Yeah.
They're incredible.
Yeah.
They're just phenom humans.
Yeah.
Just,
so now you go through this,
mm-hmm.
and now you've had the opportunity where they're, for lack of a better word, they're investing more time with you.
Yes.
Right? Because
yeah.
it's obviously money, because all of this is very expensive in general, but you're also proving to them that you're investing your time and you're there because you want to be on the team. So then what happens?
Yeah. So following push championships, because we're in an Olympic year, the team has to submit what's called an Olympic long list. Right. So that's everybody that could potentially be on the roster to go to the Olympics. So they had informed us, they continued to inform us like throughout this process, hey, like we have to submit, our long list before we even get some of the results. So
that's kind of cool if you make the long list.
Exactly. And I made the long list. Yeah. It was so freaking cool. So like in the midst of all this happening, like I had made the Olympic long list. And then I got the email to register for the Olympics, which was so surreal. Like it took me a couple of days, like just to like kind of reel with the fact that like last year, like around that time that I got the email, around this time last year, I think I was walking out of like my 4th surgery for my illness, and I was like, I'm a completely different person than I was last year. So I was just pumped about that. But yeah, so I registered for the Olympics, and then let's see, we ended that kind of like that 3-week camp that I mentioned, like development, performance, push competition with the push competition. So that's a series of tests where you're pushing on ice for time, you're sprinting for time, and then you also jump, and then they do like a counter measurement, like type measurement, like where you're measuring power.
Right.
I think in general, like a huge shock to me, like throughout this entire process, I didn't know I could jump that high. So I came in, I came in second amongst all the women for like, I actually tied with an athlete on the team.
It's straight up vertical.
Yeah, straight up vertical. Yeah.
From a standstill.
Oh,
what's your?
Oh God, you're gonna be mad at me. I don't remember, but
no,
I came in second. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I was like, I'm just trying to think. It's like, God, I don't even know. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do else. You do the second. Mm-hmm. You got second for that, and now, obviously, next step is you're still trying to make the team.
Yeah, you're still trying to make the team.
The team. The list is out, so that's a huge accomplishment.
Right.
You've made it this far. So what's the position on the sled you are?
I'm the brake woman. I'm in the back.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The power.
Yes, the engine.
Yeah, the engine. Yeah. I love bobsledding. What was the movie? It's only
Cool
one.
Runnings.
It's like there's only one movie, right? Is there only one bobsled movie?
There's only one bobsled movie, and I've got a photo for you. I took a photo with one of the actual original athlete that the movie is about.
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
I've got a photo with him.
Nice. We'll definitely share that. That's great. Okay, so you're now we're getting close.
Mm-hmm.
Olympics are February. Winter Olympics are February what? 20
February, like the whole month.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's beginning of February.
Yep. And then the bobsled is going to be towards like the middle and end.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're on the home stretch.
Yeah, we are.
And when do you know? When's the next step for you to know if you? So you're headed to Utah next for training. By the time
Yep.
this comes out, you'll already have done this training.
Right.
But you're headed to Utah to Park City for the next training.
Mm-hmm.
And will you know then, or is it still one more?
Yeah, it's still a process. So
Yeah.
the team will decide on the roster for the Olympics for the women in January. So mid-January, we're going to find out.
Mid-January, you're gonna find out.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Did I miss anything, Justin? I know we've been at it a little bit over an hour. I want to make sure that we don't. I mean,
Shooting
it hurts.
over Cool Runnings a little more than I wanted you to, but it's okay.
Cool Runnings, that's it. But because I think your story is so powerful that you've done all these things, but you're extremely intellectual as well. You're not just a sports player or just a smart person. You're so well rounded, and you're taking your powerful energy and your positiveness, and you're still taking time to help children and coach people, whether they're young adults or they're in Westfield High School, the track team, the sprinters. But you're still grounded enough where you're like, I'm gonna bust my butt, and my goal is to make this team.
Yeah.
Like it's like the epitome of everyday GSD.
Lead by doing.
Lead by doing.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to talk about the movie, Justin? You wrote that in my.
It's about her, not the movie.
How about this? Did you like the movie?
Now I see Cool Runnings 2 coming out soon.
I did like the movie, and just truthfully, I had not seen it before. I watched it before. I gave it to myself as homework to watch it before the combine, and I feel like for people that didn't grow up knowing about bobsled, like that's part of your research. Like, yeah, I watched Cool Runnings, and then I decided that I wanted to go after this team.
Now, this is going to be kind of a silly question, but I'm going to ask it. Like,
okay.
Someone who has been doing this their whole life, that's on the team, hypothetically.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you show up, right? You're like, I watched Cool Runnings, and then you place first and then second. They're like, what the heck is going on here? You're like, well, I was told to watch this, and I went up to Chicago, and then I was in Utah, and I had to go to Lake Placid, and I was like, I love this stuff. I guess I can jump higher than I thought, and apparently higher than all of you guys. And you've been doing this for how long?
Like 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So your other teammates, what's the most senior tenure person? How long has that person been doing it? Do you know? Because I've got to assume the team cycles, right, pretty often, because unfortunately in the Olympic sports, you age out, right? And it's every 4 years.
Yeah.
So
I'd say this sport is very special because if you can maintain your power in some way, shape, or form, or keep your driving skills stellar, you can remain in this sport for a long time and create an awesome legacy. And the first two people that come to mind is Alana Myers-Taylor,
yes,
who's been on the team for 20 plus years. And then Kaylee Humphreys as well. She's been on the team for...
Which was it, one of them that had a baby during the Olympics? So
yes, that's Kaylee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her story's amazing.
Yes, just incredible women who have been on the team for, a decade or two.
Yeah, I was going to say for like 10, 15 years.
Exactly, yes.
Like 3-4 cycles of Olympics.
Yes.
Like, those are the people you can go and say, okay, so I'm really nervous. What happens here?
Yeah, they can tell you.
I've been doing this. Like, you're good. You're doing great.
Yeah, they're incredible because they're both so encouraging. But I think also what's so admirable about them is like they still have this attitude of like, I can still learn. I can still learn. I can learn from my mistakes. I can encourage other people while also like leading from the front. And they both have incredible legacies in this sport, and they just add so much light to the women's bobsled team for USA. They're incredible women.
I love it. Well, we wish you the best of luck. I have a little gift for you, a little everyday GSD shirt. And I know we have I know you've got some other GSD stuff coming that you're going to be rocking out. I'm excited for that. But I want to say first, I'll have you close us out with one message to the audience about getting shit done and, you know, following your passion. Just one message.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole show really is about you just did it. But if you just have one closing statement before I wrap it up.
Yeah. I think the first thing that comes to mind is a quote that came from a movie. Don't ask me which one, I don't remember. But you never lose your demons. You just learn to live above them.
Oh.
And I think so many people are waiting for, you know, this perfect version of themselves to pop up to be able to go after the thing. And what I stayed fixated on throughout this entire journey, like throughout my illness, which I still deal with like today, is that I focus on the person that I need to be to get the thing rather than like fantasizing about the absence of the things that are hurting me. So I'll repeat it for one more time, just for the sake of it. You never lose your demons. You just learn to live above them.
I love it. That's great. Well, I have a little t-shirt for you. Like I said earlier, I know you wear this because you truly do everyday GSD, but I do want to mention as we close out the show, we'll make sure we put the proper links. You as an Olympic hopeful have to pay your own way.
Yes.
So it's important that the listeners know this. Please, if you have an extra couple dollars, donate it. It will help her bring home the gold. Let's do it. Here you go.
USA.
USA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So cool.
Appreciate you. Thanks for being on the show.